Hi guys, Finch here and welcome down to Tech Tuesday, which this week is obviously on a Thursday, because why wouldn't it be? I've literally just got off the plane and I wanted to do a Tech Tuesday this week, didn't get time to do it when I was over in Abu Dhabi. So this is Tech Tuesday and Finch Friday will follow as normal tomorrow on a Friday. Okay, that's housekeeping out of the way. So in the news, the Rogue drivers from Callaway, they are finally in people's hands. They have been testing them and hitting them. And so far, I think it's going to be difficult for Callaway with the release of the Rogue because the Epic was such an epic success. Sorry, it was a big success last year. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So to get that same type of response from another product a year after the other one was launched, that's going to be tricky. And what Callaway have actually said as well is that the Rogue drivers, so you got the normal Rogue, the Sub-Zero, and then a draw version, they're not going to be directly replacing the Epic. So the Epic is still going to be on sale. Now, if that's going to slightly confuse people, we'll have to wait and see, because it is a new driver, but it's not new enough to be the new driver. Also, I am wearing a cap because of the travel. My hair is more hideous than normal today. Not normally a cap inside guy, but I have to say, I think the cap game's relatively strong actually. Anyway, back to the drivers. They look very, very nice. Not entirely sure about the colouring on the bottom, like a weird bluish colour, but the actual driver head, it does look nice behind the ball. They've added some more modifications to the top of it to try and make the club go faster. These little like finny things on the top. The bottom is not as adjustable as the Epic, so it doesn't have that sliding weight around the back. And what Callaway have said about that is basically they don't think that when players actually get their club set up, that they alter the weight much at all. And in many respects, I do agree with that. Certainly when I'm using my M2 at the moment, it doesn't have a movable weight. I don't need a movable weight. And when I was using the M1, I didn't really fiddle around with it much at all. So on that point, apart from getting it originally fitted, players weren't really moving it much. And they've had a pretty good start, it has to be said. So Chris Paisley won last week in South Africa with the driver, followed up by Brandon Grace, who was also using the prototype driver as well. So they've had some good early coverage for this product, and they will be pushing it massively at the PGA show next week. And on that note, I will not be going to the PGA show this year. So a lot of people have been asking if I am going. I was and ahhing about actually making the journey, but because I've been away this last week and I'm going to be away in early February again, I just couldn't justify another week away from home. So I won't be going to the PGA show in Orlando. I'm sorry if people did want to see me there. It's a show that is fantastic. I think last year felt a little bit more mellow than the previous years. I think something about the show does have to change, but generally it's where the great and the good of the golf industry do meet once a year. So in that respect, I'm going to be sad to not going, but I think last year maybe just put me off slightly. And like I said, with the trips away, I can't go. And Rick has done an initial testing of the Rogue drivers, so I do recommend you go over and check that out. We've also got pictures of the new Rogue irons. Now, I've not hit these irons. I think they have got a very epic-y look about them, certainly the Pro version. But what they've done, Callaway, is they've started to stick something within the club head to try and sort out the sound. So what Callaway is saying is with irons that are designed to basically propel the ball at high club speed, you know, irons which would generally be used by players who are looking for more distance and a little bit more launch, they tend to sound a bit clicky, you know, they don't sound that great. So what they're saying is they've stuck some stuff within the head to dampen that sound and to make it sound better. So you've got PXG inserting things into their club heads, you've got TaylorMade obviously with the Speed Foam and the P series of irons, and now Callaway doing something similar-ish. So Callaway are calling it urethane microspheres, which are essentially little balls of urethane that combine together in the cavities of its irons. The difference between these spheres and other foams and materials on the market, according to Callaway, this is according to a Golf WRX article as well, is that the material is porous. Callaway say the microspheres work to dampen sound without negatively affecting ball speeds. So these are basically going to be nice sounding irons. I've got to be honest with the Callaway irons. I mean, the new ones that they brought out with the X4s and the MBs for a better player iron, they just looked awesome and they felt absolutely great. And generally with Callaway irons, they are really, really good. It just depends how these are going to be received by people after the releases that they had last year and after the success of the Epic range. The only other modification that we've seen is the hybrids that are coming out. they're the first ones with the jailbreak technology in there, and the jailbreak technology has altered a little bit on the driver as well. They've changed into an hourglass shape rather than just straight rods, which apparently give more ball speed. But again, that's going to take a bit more testing to figure out. But as always, love to know your thoughts, guys. What are the most exciting releases that you are seeing? What's got you pumped to actually try? Are you that bothered? Let us know below. We're also seeing Bettinardi, so long-time putter manufacturer, a company which I really like, to be honest. I think their putters are very good. They are snapping up a lot of tour players. So over the last few years, their social media game has been very good, and they've just snapped up Haotong Li. They've also got Francesco Molinari was a couple of weeks ago, and there's someone else as well. But what my question is for you guys is, with tour player endorsements, are you actually bothered by tour player endorsements? I think what we've seen within the last few weeks, and there's certainly been a little bit of this on social media around what the M3 and the M4 drivers from TaylorMade have been doing about getting their tour staff to actually talk about the drivers. And it's had a mixed reaction, you know, people not quite being engaged with that type of stuff. Do tour players, what they play, actually matter to you? And let us know below if you've actually been inspired by a tour player using a product to go out and buy it. I would love to know. Also, just want to touch back on the G400 range from Ping. So it was originally launched last year, but they're bringing out some new models, so the G400 Max Driver, but they've also brought out the G700 irons. And I have to say, these G700 irons, they look very cool. And there were a few tour players over in Abu Dhabi testing some of these out, especially in the longer irons. And I think that these are going to be going under the radar, but I think these will be very successful this year. So they've changed a lot of what they're doing in the head. They've made them more like drivers to basically make them, as they claim, to be the highest and longest hitting irons that they've ever produced. So the WhatsApp group's kicking off. You don't need to know. Or maybe, no, you don't. And they actually look really nice. They look really nice for a G series of irons, which in the past haven't always looked fantastic. To my eye, as a better player, these are starting to look better and better and better. And although Ping clubs generally, as I said last week or the week before, they don't get my blood flowing, they don't get it pumping. I'm not super excited when Ping bring out a club. But I have to say, these look very good, and you know what you're going to get from them. You know they're going to be pretty solid. So I'm looking forward to having a bit more of a go. Ping have also brought out some new wedges. So the Glide 2.0, that's the old name, but they've actually brought out some stealth wedges. So they are made from a different steel. So the old Glide wedges, they were 431 stainless steel, and they are now made from an 860/20 carbon steel for a softer feel, because if you want something soft, you got to go steel. I got to be honest, I am partial to a nice new wedge. I like the look of these as well. They look, for a Ping club, actually pretty sexy. So I wouldn't mind having a little bit of a go with these. I think they've also started to bring out a few new putter ranges, but I've not looked into those too deeply. But again, with Ping putters, you know what you're going to get. They're going to be decent quality. But I think they are, yes, they are in that stealth colour as well. You know me with putters, I'll have a look. Right guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you leave your comments below. Let me know what you think. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on my other social media platforms as well. And we will see you down here next time.